Hey, this is Doug from Fos Scale Models, and today we're going to take a look at weathering freight cars. I myself am usually pretty hesitant in weathering cars. I put it off for as long as I can because the idea of using weathering powders or an airbrush or oil paints on these nice models is a bit of it's a challenge, and I don't want to screw these up. So I kind of avoid it. But I've kind of settled on a technique where I can at least weather it enough to get it on the layout, and it looks a little old, a little used, but it's not overly done, and it'll blend in with the rest of the scenery on my layout. And then in the future, as I develop better techniques, I can go back and apply some more weathering. So it's just one material we're going to use, and it's pretty simple. And let's get over the workbench, and I'll show you. So this is our covered hopper, HO scale covered hopper. This is from Exact Rail. It's a beautifully detailed model. And the one material we're going to apply to weather this is artist oils. And this color is lamp black. This is oil paint that artists use to paint paintings and then modelers use to make things dirty. You can use a few other colors, but since I'm on a gray surface, I don't want to use anything else other than black here for the moment. You could use Payne's gray. But I want to use black, and I'm going to dilute it with a little bit of mineral spirits or turpentine. This is white spirits from AK. Turpentine works just as well. And I don't want it too thin, but I just want to break it up so it's not so gloppy. And I'm going to start on the ribs of this hopper. And right now you're probably thinking that looks terrible, and it does. But we're going to take a Q-tip and start removing it. And you do go through a lot of Q-tips in this technique. You'll notice also I have a piece of foam underneath my model to protect it. And the idea is subtraction. I want to get rid of a lot of it, but not all of it, because I want to keep the dirt or the grime where it collects against the ribs. So it's almost a rounded pattern at the bottom. You can look a little closer there. You can see already the part that's got the oil paint is much more interesting as a weathered model than right out of the box. And like I said, you will go through a lot of Q-tips. Fortunately, a box of Q-tips comes with a few thousand of them, so you might go through a dozen or two on a freight car. Now, judging by how much paint I put on there, I probably thinned it a little too much, so I'm going to try a thicker application on the ribs here, and maybe a little less paint. So you don't have to do the whole thing, so work your way across. Work them into the ribs first. And then maybe just get more paint on there like that. Back in my turpentine here. The good thing is you really can't screw this up. If you put too much paint on, obviously you can see, you could remove nearly all of it if you really wanted to with the mineral spirits and your Q-tip. Now right here I've got a lot of paint, so it's going to take a lot of work with the Q-tip. So I'm just going to help myself here and get most of it off with paper towel. And we want to maintain this first section we did here as our guide, so I'm going to take a little bit more off. And again, I'm going in a circle here because I do want this rounded kind of look at the bottom where the dirt would kind of pool up towards the end here. And if you remove too much, of course, you can go back. I'm going to blot some of this. And if you look on YouTube here, you will find hundreds of freight car weathering videos. And that's good because there's a million ways to do this. This is just one of them. And again, the idea is that you want to get a freight car on your layout, but it's time consuming to weather it, or you're not quite confident with your weathering techniques yet. So this will at least get it on the layout, not look like a shiny piece of plastic. Now be careful when you get near the grab irons here. We're just dabbing on some paint and it is a little tricky to get in there, but can be done. In this case, you might want a small brush just to get under the grab iron without lifting it up. I need a little turpentine there just to take this down a little bit. Okay. Now you'll also notice this technique can really be used on any kind of plastic model, any kind of vehicle. You can just put on oil paint and remove it, and chances are you'll just remove 95% of it or 85% of it, and you just leave behind this kind of grimy section. So I'm getting a little strategic here. I'm using the small brush again to get under this piece of steel at the top, or trim, so I can highlight that edge a little bit. I'm almost trying to keep it there. I'm trying to push it up and stay up at the top. And take more off underneath it. If you do like the sounds of monkeys screaming, this is the technique for you. Maybe the dirt's catching on top of the ribs there. We'll try to see how that looks. I'll just try to take away a little bit. Do that with a newer Q-tip. And we can't forget about the top. And we're going to sort of treat it the same way. In this case, I think I might use my smaller brush. And we have the decks up here, these grills, to deal with as well. So we have to be careful we don't lift them away. So I've got most of the roof done here. And what I want to do now is sort of check over what I've done. And I can touch up some areas, or rather remove some areas with a little bit more mineral spirits. Like you can see here, it's a little too streaky. So I'm just going to take a little bit more. Leave it in the corners, remove it from the middle. Same here, there's some streaking here. Now, what this oil paint doesn't take care of course, is the trucks and the undercarriage. But again, the idea is just to get this on your layout so it doesn't look like it just came out of the box. But if you want to address this, we can. And you could just take some rust-colored chalk, or even some brown-colored chalk, and mix it together. And it instantly kills the black shine on the trucks and the wheels. And what we'll do when we're done is spray this with a matte finish. Those damn brake lines. And even the matte spray, if there's any black plastic that's still shiny, it will dull that down. Same for the trucks. You can use the same chalk powder. Just hit that real quick. And eventually I will revisit this car, add some more detail weathering with some rust and some even graffiti and so forth. But for now, I can get it on the layout and it won't stand out like a toy.